we're gonna start off with Janae. And Janae, you are a health enthusiast and physical trainer. You look great. Now, while cancer can take a toll on the body, it isn't forever. And Janae, can you share a little bit about your personal journey and also how you look fabulous? And thank you. and we want to also hear about the dietary changes that you made since being diagnosed.
Okay, so a little bit about my story. I was diagnosed in 2011. I was 31 years old, no family history, and I actually was in the midst of training for a figure competition, so like bodybuilding shows. I had done two the year prior to being diagnosed, and I actually had my lump, my first show, and I kind of just put it off, and I put it off for some of the reasons that the previous panel talked about, having those lumps that are benign. I got them checked, had biopsies, and the doctor's like, no, that's just how your breasts are, you're fine. So this one particular lump was under my right arm. And again, I pushed it off literally for a year and a half before I got it checked. And again, because it didn't bother me and I had so many previous, and I didn't have health insurance at the time. So that I did 2 shows, a year and a half goes by, and I noticed that when I lifted my arm, I can kind of see it poking out, opposed to feeling it with my hand like I did before. And I was like, grudgingly, like, I guess I'll go get it checked. Didn't have health insurance. I was a personal trainer full-time at that moment. But my aunt worked at a breast care specialist up by Northside. So I just, asked her just to see how much it was to get checked without insurance. And she did so. Again, I'm in the midst of training to get on stage again. And what that means for me, literally cooking all my own food. So no sugars, no salts. Really having what a healthy diet should be. Working out, daily cardio, a healthy regimen, so I would say. So she made all these, she made my appointment, I go in, I signed a waiver saying that she could be able to tell me anything that I needed to know, because she lived 3 houses down from me and my parents at the time. So one night she came, I was at her house, we were watching TV, and some of my family came over, watching TV, watching Dancing with the Stars, and I see them coming over. Meanwhile, it's like 10 p.m. at this time, so I'm like, what's going on? What are y'all doing here? So they turn the TV off, I'm like, okay, what's happening, seriously? So my mom goes, so do you want the doctor to tell you, or do you want your aunt to tell you? And I'm like, well, at this point, nobody needs to tell me, because you're telling me what I'm telling me. So she tells me, okay, not that I have cancer, but you need to go get more tests done. And again, being in the midst of training for a show, I was supposed to go to Florida for a camp that next weekend. So instantly I cried, but like a crazy person, I did not cry because the possibility of having cancer. I cried because I got stuff to do. Like, I'm supposed to go to this camp, I'm trying to win these shows, I got life. Like, can this not wait till I come back? So I ended up talking to my doctor, went to the camp, came back, got extra tests, and it came back as breast cancer. And it's been 7 years now. This month actually makes 7 years. Thank you. And my journey has just been nothing but a blessing to me. I tell people it's the best, worst thing that ever happened to me in my life. It made me look at life differently, and then it also made me look at health and wellness a totally different way. Prior to cancer, I did it because I just truly enjoy working out. I love the results of it, hence why I was in a sport where you get judged by your look. Not in a vain way, but I just love the training process for it. Now, I truly do this because I want to be alive. I want to be healthy and alive. So my views on it are totally different. And so what I'm doing now, I'm transitioning out of just personal training into working with survivors. There is the largest gap in between you telling me I'm diagnosed and then you tell me, oh, I need to eat better and work out. What does that mean? I'm still trying to process that you just told me I have cancer. So, and we can't go to regular trainers or regular nutrition. We have nutritionists, we have special needs, right? So I want to be that gap and get the certifications that I need to help people like myself.
Okay, and I'm sure you have some information if someone wanted to come afterwards and speak to you.
Oh, yeah.
Getting information. Okay, so find it. All right, thank you so much. We're going to turn to Christia now. Christia is a natural hair industry mogul. Her brand TGIN prides itself on producing the most natural hair products. And can you share a little bit about what motivated you to start the brand and also your journey?
So thank you again for having me here today. This event is fantastic. We came last year and the team clearly just keeps upping their game. This is beautiful. Last year was beautiful. But in terms of why I started the brand and a little bit about my journey, long story short about the brand, I started the brand because I worked in corporate America, and when I graduated from law school, I felt the pressure to wear my hair straight in a world that didn't really celebrate brown beauty. That's the 15-second version. But really, why I'm here today is about the story of women like Janae who were diagnosed and they were either uninsured or underinsured. Their experience was very different than mine. And so I tell people 2015 was the best year of my life and the worst year of my life. In 2015, on March 1st, my company launched in 250 Target stores, but 9 months later, at the age of 36, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And when I received my diagnosis, I was referred by my OBGYN to a hospital on the south side of Chicago. And if anyone knows anything about Chicago, we got the south side, the west side, and the north side. It's highly segregated. And I was diagnosed at what they would consider to be a safety net hospital, which is a hospital where women who are underinsured or uninsured go for treatment. And when I received my diagnosis and I looked around in the waiting room at the women who were there, I realized if I had a chance of beating this, I had to get to the hospital on the north side, which is called the Gold Coast of Chicago, where affluent white people go to get treatment. And when I left that situation, I always said to myself that if I would ever make it out of this condition, if I would ever become a survivor, I would be a voice for the women who did not have the luxury to leave from one hospital to go to another hospital, a world-class hospital, and get the best treatment that money could buy. And I learned along the way, in terms of sharing this story, there's a health disparity, not only in Chicago, but nationwide. Black women are 42% more likely to die from breast cancer than the general population. And I learned why that was. A lot of it is systemic, related to health insurance or hospitals, like where they don't have the specialists that have the ability to detect certain types of breast cancer or the technology, but some of it is little things like not having the ability to pay for $14 a day for parking when you go to the hospital 50 times in a year, not having someone to watch your child, or not having the ability to take time off from work to really focus on taking care of yourself. When I was diagnosed with cancer and seeking treatment, I took 9 months off from my job that paid a lot of money and made 100% of my salary, whereas I thought about the women who didn't have that same luxury. And so now where I am today, when you talk about how the brand is committed to this cause, yes, that's why we are sponsoring this event, because we've been on TV every day this week, and we're on TV on Monday on Sister Circle. And in some instances, some people want to say, we love your story, but let's just talk about how everyone gets cancer. And some people are open to the idea of talking about why women of color, when Danica mentioned she felt so alone, not seeing black faces dealing with this, or brown faces dealing with this, or poor faces dealing with this, I realized sometimes even when it comes to healthcare, it becomes an all lives matter situation versus a Black Lives Matter situation. So that's why I'm here today, is just to shed a light on why brown women of color, sometimes feel alone when they're going through this, why poor women and underinsured and uninsured women's stories are not being told. And so that's kind of what my brand is out here, kind of promoting that message and making sure that people are aware that cancer plus cancer treatment doesn't equal survivorship. There's a lot of economic and financial implications along the way that really make the difference between the people who sit on the couch like me, you, and you who are telling your stories today, and the people who are not here to see, you know, their 39th or 40th birthday. So thank you again, Anne-Marie and your team. Thank you all for your story.
And Erin, you were diagnosed at 25, and you're a huge advocate for early detection. That's what you promote. Tell us about your journey and also your work with the Emory University and Make-A-Wish Foundation.
Sure, so my story, I feel like it was all the wrong things happening at the right time. So I was 24, living in Tampa, had finished school, got my first real job, and then realized I hated it. So without giving it much thought, I just decided I'm gonna quit my job. So I quit my job, called my parents and said I need a U-Haul to bring me back to Tallahassee, and then we'll figure out what we're gonna do. And that's what happened. So got back to Tallahassee, and my mother said, well, you know, with this new Obamacare, I can put you back on my insurance, because I know you haven't been going to the doctor like you should have been. So I said, you're right. So about a month in, I go for my yearly exam, not having any major symptoms or signs, but my OB said, I feel something, let's just have a mammogram just to see. At this point, I hadn't told my family that I was going for a follow-up visit because I didn't want them to worry. This is the only girl, was the baby of the family. So I would just sneak off from work, go get the mammogram, and wait for the feedback. Got the call, they said, you know what, let's do a biopsy on this. I said, I gotta keep this a secret too. Snuck off from work, did the biopsy, and waited. Then I got another call, they said, we have your results, can you come to the office and bring someone with you? So it's like, shoot, all right. So now I need to tell my family what I've been doing for the last few weeks. So I called my mother at work and I said, we need to go see the doctor. So we went back, got the results, and she said, this is not the news I wanted to share with you, but you have breast cancer. This was on a Friday at like 4 p.m. So we had the whole weekend to just sit and stew on now what? So first thing Monday morning, my mom actually called, she said, well, are there people on call that we can talk to right now? They said, just wait till Monday, we'll get a game plan together. So in the midst of all of that, I like to think that me being young and foolish enough to just decide that I don't need a job, I'll just go home, ended up being the trigger that I needed to focus on me. Because at the time all I was focused on was just adulting and not taking care of myself. Ironically enough, when I went home, prior to having the appointments, I said, well, I'm just gonna get a part-time job. So I secured a part-time job and then found out that I had breast cancer. So that in and of itself was also some of what kept me going, because that was something to look forward to. It was also a little bit of extra money in my pocket so I could drive up to Atlanta and go everywhere else I wanted to go. But I mean, I would tell my oncologist and said, can we do my chemo on Monday or Tuesday, because I'm trying to go to Gainesville on Friday for a step show and I need to not be throwing up or whatever the case would be. I'm serious. My now husband was in Atlanta and we were just kind of long distance dating, but they would love to, you know, see me on Monday morning, like, how'd your trip to Atlanta go? So being able to take a step back and realize that everything happens for a reason. I don't wish this journey on anyone, but it was eye-opening and I ended up being right where I needed to be. So you had a question about my work. So now that I'm permanently living in Atlanta, I went through a series of different employers, but one of the most meaningful jobs that I held was serving as a wish coordinator at the Make-A-Wish Foundation. And so through that work, we were able to provide wish experiences for children with life-threatening medical conditions. So for me, it was very personally gratifying, and I approached it with a different sense of responsibility, since at the time I didn't have a child, but I knew what those parents were experiencing because I saw my family walk through that experience. So there's a certain level of empathy that you have when you meet another survivor, that you just relate in a different way. I think Danica had mentioned, whereas everyone else wants to baby you, don't open that door, don't touch that ketchup bottle, there's germs on it. I mean, everything was, you might as well be in a bubble. And they mean well, but it's just a constant reminder of, you're different. Something's different about you. So for me, knowing how I felt in that experience and then having to go and sit with a family over at Eggleston whose child might have 1 month left to live, helping them feel still that outside of everything you have going on, I'm here to do something special for you, not being squeamish, understanding what they're going through, being comfortable in the medical settings, I think was very important for my success in that role. But having a child changed all that, and it made it that much more difficult than to be that outsider. So switched gears and was working at Emory Winship Cancer Institute, where I met Anne-Marie. And working as a fundraiser for cancer research. And so again, it's, people are always, they want to share their story, and they're expecting me to just come and say, well, great, how's your 401k? Are you taking any trips? How much money can you donate? But they're surprised when I say, I've been there too. I understand exactly what you're going through. So being able to be not only a spokesperson for the cancer experience, but also knowing that what I do every day on a 9 to 5 is, or 7 to 7 some days, is helping to bring more money in so that early detection, everyone knows of early detection. Everyone is thinking about that. Breast cancer, the course of treatment has improved dramatically since when my grandmother passed from it. So just helping advance the search for a cure. So, yeah.
Oh, thank you so much. And thank you, ladies. Thank you so much for sharing your stories. I mean, I don't know, these stories just that we've been hearing all day today, I mean, it's courage and it's boldness that is just coming out. And thank you so much. I honor each of you. Thank you again. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Thank you, ladies. Oh, we're going to take a picture.